Okay, hello. Let's see. Sorry, I have a person here who is fixing something. We had a leak in our bathroom, but that's not very interesting, is it? Let's see. So let me just zoom in a little bit here. Cool. Okay. So yeah, Danilo wasn't able to join today, but I am going to continue the exploration here. One thing is that we actually had a bug the last time, and I'm not installing the latest version because there was a bug with the library. It's actually a general thing with observability, which is interesting. And the reason I installed the latest version is because it should now notify about it. So let's see if we can get things running here. Let's restart the task. Oh, did I do something? Oh, addressing. Oh, this is interesting. This happens sometimes. I'm not sure why. I have to restart the thingy. Yeah, so I played around with like the family app, and the thing that really annoys me about React, like the thing that I love about React is how you can just define components like this. This is a beautiful thing. And I really like the concept of reconciliation in the sense that your component is observing something. And if anything changes, the component reconciles. What that means is like you can have if statements returning different values or different UI as the whole thing will reconcile. When you talk about React causing your whole app to reconcile in any change, that's a problem, right? But from the perspective of a component, it makes a lot of sense. And the reason I started reflecting on this is I looked a bit deeper into Solid.js, and even though I think Solid.js is an awesome library and all that stuff, is that there's, even though the observing context is the component, you can't have like if statements and return different UI because there's no reconciliation happening. So in Solid, you are forced to consume everything. All your state needs to be explicitly consumed within the UI definition or within the JSX. And the thing is, I'm hearing the guy. Is he coming in? Oh. Anyways, the thing is, like, if we look at Solid.js, and I'm not bashing on Solid.js at all. It was just I wasn't aware of this. Let's see, where can we find this? So maybe I should have guides or something. Reactivity. Yeah, so when you return something here, you see that you have to consume the count within the JSX. If I were to create a variable here called like value and then call count to get the value and use the value here, it wouldn't work. And another thing I discovered is that props are also reactive. So if you were to like destructure props here, they won't be reactive anymore. It actually causes like a error, like nothing happens or something. Or was it just, yeah, you lose the reactivity. And that's really interesting to me, that there's so much power in that the reactivity principle, because when you do this, if you had like a more complicated UI, only maybe the count was in like an H1, only that H1 would actually change if the count changed. Nothing else within the component would actually change, which is which is great for performance. But the performance issue with React isn't component reconciliation. It's just that there's so much of it happening across components unnecessarily. And still, like the biggest performance issue from a component perspective is lists, right? But I don't know about like exactly how Solid deals with lists, but I would imagine like it really needs to evaluate a lot of stuff to figure out what to keep and what not to keep. And so comparing like reactivity and reconciliation in terms of lists, I would assume there's not that much difference, especially if you use a memo component for each item in the list. Anyways, what it made me realize is that I love React. In terms of React reconciliation, there's one thing I just discovered I really love about it, and that is what I'm talking about now. Is that I have a component. If something that this component depends on changes, it evaluates the component again, the whole component. So I can have like if statements returning different UI and stuff like that. There's no surprises. You know that the component body is called again. But that's also why I not hate reconciliation, but why reconciliation creates friction. And the reason reconciliation creates friction is not because of what I just talked about. It's because of the hooks. It's because of use effect and use ref and use state and all of this stuff. So I was playing around with like, what if there was a UI library where components were stateless? Like they don't manage state at all. And then you had a different, and then you had a reactive context for components so that you would do all the state stuff within a reactive paradigm, and then you would just have stateless components to actually just declaratively consume that context and produce the UI. So there wouldn't be any like use state, use effect, or nothing like that. That will be part of like the reactive paradigm. But then when something in that reactive paradigm changes, it will reconcile that stateless component. So sorry, I'm going way off here. You'll have to blame Danilo. He's the one that keeps me focused. But I'm just going to go with this. So what would that look like? So what you would do, you would have like some component, and then there's no hooks here. There's no state, no effects, nothing in here. But you could of course get props, and then you would also need access to the reactive context of that component, if it has any. Like it doesn't it could be just a pure component or a stateless component. But let's imagine it could get the context. And then what you would do is like looking at how impact does it. You would have like some component context. And this is where you expose state and do whatever you need to do. So you would have things like so to kind of let's imagine you have like a message in here, signal hello world, and then get message. Oh my god, get message. Oh my god. Return message does value. Don't we have? There we go. Okay, so you would do something like that. And then you would say something like, okay, I want the message here and use local context, for example, some component context. And, oh, sorry, you wouldn't get context there. So what you do is that for this component, you say, I'm going to consume a local context. So that basically means that for every like instance of this component, you would have this local, this context, like an instance of that context. And And then it would do whatever you want to do. But the point is that the component isn't concerned about any kind of state management. Its only responsibility is to consume state and then produce some UI from it. So that allows us to have like a reactive pair. 2 seconds. Oh, that's nice. We were worried we had like moist, like we had a leak and then it went through the roof and like the ceiling, not the roof, the ceiling and the walls. But it's all good. Anyways, so the point is that you can have like a reactive paradigm for state and management of state, and then you have a completely stateless primitive for producing UI from that. Yeah, that would be interesting, because then you're kind of taking the reactive paradigm of Solid, which is super nice in terms of, okay, this function only runs once. You expose reactive primitives that you can consume in a component. And then from the perspective of the component, you have reconciliation. So if anything reactive being consumed in the component body, it will reconcile again. So you can just write JavaScript. There's no like hidden things like you can't destructure props, or you can't use if statements to return conditional UI and stuff like that. That would be awesome. I actually installed or played around with, there's a project called Snabdom. It's Swedish, I think. It means fast DOM. It was one of the early alternative implementation of what's it called? What do we call it? The DOM diffing. Virtual DOM. One of the early alternatives to virtual DOM. And I was reflecting on like, yeah, I think I'm gonna play around with that. It's just a fascinating idea. Like, what if you have pure stateless components with reconciliation, like a virtual DOM, so that you just write JavaScript there, but then you're able to expose reactive contexts to those components for state management. And that's kind of what we're doing with Impact, but not completely, right? Because you do still have all this stuff from React. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But yeah, that was just a mind burp. And what we're going to do is to talk about this. Let's see. Do we have anything here? Oh, preserve. Could we? Oh, sorry. Yeah, it should be impact. Oh, there we go. Chicken soup. That's right. Chicken soup. Come on. There we go. Let's see if it throws an error. Oh. The above error register setter. What the hell? Canary properties of undefined register setter. Could this be? Can I? Oh, there it is. Observer context. Oh, we might not have an observer context. Well, that's weird. No, that's not weird. Okay, so we have a bug. Let's just fix that. Sorry. Of course, we might not have Okay, let's just restart so we have the latest version. Yeah, so the thing is, maybe we can just talk about the problem, and then we'll fix that little thing. The problem is, where did we do this? Was it here? Where we were using this observer thing? No, I think it's actually in the branch context, if I remember correctly. Yes. So what we're doing here, we are observing. So when the git status promise is fulfilled, we go through the change files, and if there's files changed, we go and grab a commit message. But if we look at the commit message, what we're doing here is that we're first we're setting the signal of committing a message, and then committing message. Oh, that's a weird name. Isn't committing, it's getting suggested message. Let's rename that. Getting suggested message. So we are setting a signal value, and then we're also observing that value. So when you do observability like this, you can get into a loop where you are both observing and setting the same signal in this case. And that's a problem. Should never do that. So that's what I fixed in Impact, is that it knows, it can easily detect when this happens, and throws an error and lets you know that you shouldn't do that. So the fix here is that we are actually not going to do that. We're just going to get a suggested message. We're not going to... Oh, actually, this might not work. Or will it? No. Yeah, that will work. Sorry. I was just confused that just accessing this value, would that trigger the getter? But of course it doesn't, because this is literally a setter. And then we can move, I think I moved this up here because I wanted it to be used both places, but now I don't want that. So we're going to move this back down here. And then this is going to be files, like that. So there's two ways for us to go and grab the commit message. We can either explicitly ask for it, which happens when you like change the checkboxes of what files you want to include in the commit. And then we have this automatic one, which is, and in that case, we do want to return the promise, because we might call that from, I don't know, somewhere where we want access to that promise. But here we don't want to consume the promise. We just want to say that we're getting the suggested commit. So let's see here now. I'm going to go in and just fix that little thing. Register setter, observer context. Where are we? It's down here. There we go. I'm not sure why I didn't type this as, like, that's kind of weird that it doesn't. Sometimes I'm not sure what the setting is for TypeScript to actually make sure that when you do this kind of lookup, it can always be undefined, right? But for some reason, TypeScript doesn't show it as possibly undefined. So let's just be very explicit about that. So now we should get an error here, which is good. So we only call this if we actually have an observer context. Nice. Cool, that's it. Let's bump the version. Let's create a PR. Yeah, and this is kind of the flow that we're trying to re-implement. Create pull request. Merge pull request. Boop. And let's move back to, oops. back to main. And we are going to publish this. So now it pulled from main, that's why it restarted the setup tasks. And I'm going to yarn build and npm publish. Cool, that's it. And we should be able to install the latest version here. v2 pmpm add impact app latest. Boop. Oh, what the hell? Failed to replace env. Oh, what the hell is this? Oh, do I have to? That's weird. Oh, but I've never seen this one before. This sucks. I'm like 99 commits behind, which could be part of the reason. I'm going to just commit and push this. And we're going to try to get in all the latest stuff. Oh, and then we have conflict. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's see if we can quickly resolve this. Why is it so? Oh, which one? I always confused by this. Is head, is that what I merged in? And this is my stuff? No, I think this is the new stuff. It doesn't matter. Like, we're not going to merge this exploration anyways. This is just mpx. Okay. And here. And then, oh, we did a lot of changes here. Where's the... Oh. There we go. And then I can't really fix the pmpm lock thing. How do I fix pmpm lock? Can I just install again? Does it? No, because it, like, there's conflict resolution stuff there. Oh, YAML, sorry. I thought it was, oh, is it YAML, pmpm lock? Oh, sorry, I'm confused. Yeah, okay, nice, it creates a new one. Cool, let's just commit that merge. And then I might need to restart, but let's see what happens. Yeah, okay, I'm going to try to restart and see if this works. Okay, let's see now. Web CodeSandbox v2 pmpm add impact app latest. Oh my god. I can't believe this. We're like blocked by this. Run pmpm install, but I don't want to run pmpm install. Like, I'm not supposed to do that. Okay, this is going to be a stream about me yelling about fucking environment and how horrible it is. Registries mismatch. So is this just because I have what the hell? Run pm install. But I did that. This is what I don't understand. Why is the root install not affecting the CodeSandbox v2 package? Like, this is what we love about monorepos. This module's directory was created using the following registries configuration. Oh, sorry. I guess we just need to delete null modules. And then do this, and then we can maybe add it. What the hell does this mean? Oh, god damn it. Okay, I'm going to run pm install, and then what the hell? Yes. Okay, so maybe I'm supposed to run pm install there. It's weird to run pm install inside a package of a monorepo because you want to do it from the root. So yeah, whatever. Latest. Okay, this is completely broken. This is completely broken. Why the hell? Monaco VS Code API. But that's not, that shouldn't be, we shouldn't fetch that. That's a local depend. Okay, this is the thing, like we shouldn't pm install from, but maybe we just had to do it to get things up and running, and then, because it needs to bind all the monorepo packages together. Yes. OMG. What about now? Ah, god damn it. Fuck. Ah. I no idea how to fix this. Absolutely no idea. I can't believe we're blocked by this. Wait, what happened? You know, if it doesn't work now, we're going to play around with snubdom instead. This is too upsetting for me. Yeah, fuck this. Ah, god damn it. That's annoying. That's too annoying. Where's the thing? 4 hours ago? think this is where I was playing around with it. Yeah, exactly. So the thing about snubdom is that it's extremely low level. It's just a patching mechanism to reconcile. So you don't really have any concept of components. You have to really build that yourself. And I think I did this once back in the day. But it has like some limitations. Like you don't have fragments, stuff like that. And like that, this is the thing that kind of annoys me. It doesn't really make sense to build like a new. I wish there was an implementation of like React had an implementation. So, okay, how should I put this? So you have React, and then you have React DOM, and React DOM is really there to translate like the reconciliation, not the reconciliation, but like the output of React to DOM operations. And I wish React had like a third package. So you had like the pure React reconciler, which handles components and suspends and portals and all of that stuff. That's like UI related. And then all the state management and effects and stuff like was something else. Because it doesn't make sense to like, if you want to build a new UI library, you have to implement so much stuff. Like Solid, for example, of course, they had to implement everything, like suspends and arrow boundaries and everything, because that's kind of, you expect that to be there now. Anyways, let's still play around with this. So I have no idea how to actually do this, but you have something called create element. And create element could take like a string, or it could take a component. So t extends string, or let's create a component type. And that component type takes props. And that's a record of string and unknown. And it should return something. What should it return? Does this have typing? What's the return type of this? Yeah, it should return a v node. And I guess it could optionally return null. I think that's also a limitation here. It's that you actually don't. I'm not sure if you can even return null from a component here, which is like super limiting, but anyways. So we have component t extends, and then let's just call it tag. And then we are going to, how does this work? So this would be for creating elements. But if you create a component, you can only give it props. Okay, so I think we actually need like function overrides there. So it can either be a create element where t extends string, and if that's the case, we get an actual tag. And the second set of arguments is basically what you pass here. So you have this thing. Oops. Vnode data, children, and then this returns vnode. It has a bunch of overrides. I wonder if I can I just do params is parameters type of age, and then return type of age. I'm not sure if this will actually keep the... Oh, this doesn't make any sense. How would I do this? I wonder what the overrides are. Okay, anyways, you have to return a v node. Let's just do that for now. And then if it's a component, then the component is t, and then you can just give it like props. So here we would have props, which is a string unknown. And I guess these props should really be extends record string unknown. And then like so, and then this will be any. And I think we can actually do extends record string unknown, because we're really interested in the props here. We're not interested in the rest. What did I do now? T extends record string unknown. Oh, that was one too many. So we say that this is a component of T. And then the props will be T. And then you can still pass in children, v node children. And it should return a v node. Okay, and then we have the implementation of create element, which, well, it takes 3 arguments: tag or component, which is a string or component any. Or can I say unknown? No, I need to say any. It doesn't matter. Data or props. Blah. Which can be... I wish there was like a better way to express this, but yeah, it doesn't matter. String unknown. Because now we're in like, we created this like dynamic interface for this, and the implementation needs to kind of handle all scenarios, which is why I'm duplicating the typing here. And then children, at least that's v node children. So if tag or component equals string, we would just return h tag or component, data or props. And I guess maybe I need to, yeah, it doesn't matter. I think this will be fine. What are you complaining about? Oh, never used. Or if this is not the case, we're going to... How the hell would this work? How would you encapsulate? Is that the thunk? I remember this stuff. GitHub's nabdom. I can't remember how I created components, because there's something called a thunk. And I think the thunk function takes a selector, a key for identifying a thunk, a function that returns a v node, and a variable amount of state. This is really memo. But I think this is really what you do to create components. Yeah, I'm starting to remember now. Instead of actually invoking the number view, yeah, they call it views here, but it needs this key. And only place a dummy v node in the virtual tree. When someone patches this dummy v node against a previous v node, it will compare the value of n. If n is unchanged, it will simply reuse the old v node. Yeah, like the point is that you should, like, SnubDOM is designed that you reconcile everything, but I don't want that. I kind of want each component to patch itself. I wonder how you would snub DOM components. I have no idea how to do this. Getting started. Oh, come on. Oh. Why can't I read it? Why do I have to upgrade? That sucks. Updating. Ugh. Yeah, how would you? But again, I guess that's like, it's out of scope for SnubDOM. But I really want to play around with this concept of like having pure components and then a reactive state management thing. And I don't know how to play around with that. Because the problem with React is that you can't create local there's no reliable way to know when something unmounts. So you can't really have this. Generally, you can't create something in a component and then confidently know when to remove that thing. You can only subscribe and unsubscribe to stuff. So you can like reliably create something because you can like use state or use ref or something, but you can't reliably create and remove the thing. Because there's no like explicit unmount. And this is important here. If you're going to have like this reactive scope, which is created when the component mounts, you need to be able to, like, for example, if you start a subscription, you need to be able to confidently remove that subscription when the component unmounts, and you can't really do that in React. The way Impact gets around it is that we use a class component, and component did unmount lifecycle hook. Because these contexts are provided through a context provider. So that's fine. But you couldn't do that for like individual components. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm trying to do here. Well, I know I want to create something that's in between Solid and React. Like you have the component reconciliation of React, but you have the reactivity of Solid for state management. And yeah. What if what if you combine SnubDOM with Solid? Or that doesn't make any sense, maybe. Because what I don't understand is how you create like this long-lived scope. So what I can do here, I can like return tag or component, and I can call it with a data or props. And I could add like a let's see. Data pops, and I can say children, and that will be children. And then if I were to like use this thing, that would indeed produce like it would just call the function and kind of just, yeah, it's just a different way of creating an element. But that's not really what I want. I really want this thing to live. So when it reconciles again, or maybe I can hook it into the return. No, I can't do that either. I think it needs to use this thunk thing, because as it's stated, it creates this. I remember creating this once, and that's how I did it. I created a thunk because then you get this virtual node, and that virtual node represents the component. But my worry is that it needs this key. I don't understand why it needs a selector. Thunk selector key render function. Here it even has the key is optional. It should be supplied when the selector is not unique among the thunk's siblings. But what is that selector? A key for identifying a thunk. So does that mean, does it really matter? Could I just use the name of the component? I could try. Because that's, I think it, I really want to, let's just try that. So thunk, like we're not going to be able to get anything useful out of this. But yeah, things went really sour on this stream. It happens. Or component.name. Like it may have a key here, but we're not going to care about that for now. And then we have, what was the other stuff? Yeah, and then it's what it's going to call. Oh, and this is the arguments. Okay. So you say that thing, and then the arguments is really this thing. The problem now is that we use an object. And that object reference changes every time. So it will reconcile every single time. Ugh. Yeah, this is definitely not designed for what I want to do. Oh, this would be this is weird. So what I would really need to do here, I could take each prop, the value of each prop, or prop key, and kind of spread that into the array, because it's kind of like a dependency array, and then it would use that to evaluate to render the component, and then I would just create my own function here to bring it all back together. But I think even the render function, maybe it doesn't. It would be fun to kind of see if it runs at least. Okay, let's just try doing this and see what happens. So this is create element. And so what we're going to do here is, instead of creating this stuff, Yeah, but this doesn't make any sense, does it? Tag or component. I think this will kind of need to be wrapped. So this is kind of the problem is that this patching yeah, but maybe we could do that. So function create component. So this takes a component. It doesn't matter, like some component. We don't care about what props it takes. Component function. And what it should do is, this is interesting. Let's copy this patch thing. Let's move patch up here. Where are we? Patch. And what it should really do is, like, there has to be create component. Okay, let's just try it. I think this is going to, this think thing is going to so here we are going to prev node prev node equals component function, and this would get props and then we're going to return prev node, because we haven't added like the patching within the component. So if the component updates within itself, then we need to patch it. But that's the thing I don't quite understand, because can it patch itself? Yeah, I guess let's try it. So we're creating a component. So that means if we now do, okay, let's create some component. Let's just try get something on the screen first. So create element h1 whatever, and then how do you do text? That's just a string. Hello world. And then we're going to say create element some component whatever. And then we're not going to do this. Yeah, at least it displayed it. And if I were to say message here, hi there, and then I were to use message, would that work? Yeah, that's kind of cool. Message string. Now the thing we want to do, we want this thing to patch itself. That's what we want to do. Can we do that in 5 minutes? Maybe we can. Let's see. So what we could try to do, we could just create a timeout here. Just to test it. So I'm going to, when it runs this, you know what? We're just going to set an interval and then we're just going to see if it like produces something new here. How should we do this? Okay, so we're going to just artificially, okay, we're still going to pass the props. We're also going to pass a count. Let count 0. So we're going to pass that count. And what's going to happen when we call this function? What's going to happen? Yeah, okay. So let's see here. Oh, this is interesting. Or is it? Yeah, this is interesting. So we're interval, set interval. So every second we are going to patch the prev node with, oh, but we don't have props here. That's the thing. Okay, let's just keep. Can I just create the interval here? I think maybe I can. Because this is only run once, at least now, because we're not invalidating this thing. So we should be able to just call it again. So here we're going to do, okay, so in the interval, we're going to increase the count and we're going to call our thing again. Current node equals prev node equals. Then we're going to patch our current node with our prev node. Why are you complaining? Oh, because we might not have one. Whatever. We do. Oh, I'm saying that it can return null. Let's say it doesn't return null. So now it should be like in the background now, it should be patching. And we're kind of forcibly exposing this count on the props of the component. So we'll do a count here, and count number. And then I wonder if I can just put the count in there. Hey, look at that. It actually works. That's cool. That's fun. So, okay, just to talk through what I'm trying to do here. So I was able to create a scope now for this thing. The problem? No, I guess that's fine. Yeah. So I would do data or props key here. Does it still work if I do this? Does it handle and define? Yeah, nice. So I think what happens here is that when it mounts, it actually creates this scope. And then within this scope, I'm able to create some reactivity, and then I can just manually patch it. Like, it does require you to return something from the component. Like, you have to have a node to patch. So returning null, I don't think that would work. I don't think that creates like a virtual node or whatever. Maybe it does. But typically you want to return something. So let's say that's fine. So then each component can patch itself whenever its like reactivity thing changes. So what I would do here, I would create like observer context around calling this component body. And then I would keep a reference to that observer context. And every time I rerun the component body, I update the observer context and subscribe to it, and then I'll patch it again. That works. And how do I know if it unmounts? How the hell do I know if it unmounts? Virtual node. Yeah. Like there's something called hooks, but I don't think hooks. Hooks. So there's something called destroy. It's directly or indirectly. So you need to pass a hook to the actual. So that's the thing. Like that's the thing. Like we don't have. I can't pass hooks to. I can't pass hooks to a thunk. So there's no like. It has to be an element. That's the thing. That's the artificial thing here. Is that like in React you have a first class concept of a component. It's the components that lives in the tree, but that's not the case with Snubdom. It's only elements that actually lives in the tree. So to be able to understand when something is being removed, I guess I will kind of have to take a look at the return result of the component, and that is a node. And then I would kind of monkey patch that node with like a destroy hook or whatever to know when it's actually being removed from the DOM, and then I could clean up. So like prev data, yeah, I could like add a hook there to know when it's being removed. That's kind of cool. But the point is that I'm like just wrapping elements. There's no concept of an actual component here. I wonder, what does think? What's the implementation of think? So it returns a think, and that's just think. Oh, this is interesting. So if I return a vnode as an object of function and args, then Snubdom will automatically, what's vnode data? Oh, it actually extends vnode data. Oh, so I can add hooks. Think extends vnode. Is it just because I have a function and args in the data? So it just has a data. Oh, so, okay, sorry. So think extends a vnode. So we're actually returning like a vnode. But I guess it doesn't have like a selector or, well, I don't know that. That's something I could check. But then it has think data. So it has a function and args additionally. So does that mean I could... Does that mean I don't actually have to call think? I guess the only thing think does is just produce this, adding the function args, and then vnode. The vnode has attach data. Whatever. I have to stop the stream. But yeah, like this is the thinker, like blah, return blah. This should also have data hook. Like I can just attach it there on, yeah. So we don't need to look at the return result. We can actually just shove it onto the, yeah, exactly. Destroy. And then we would actually remove the scope. And what I can do here to enable that syntax for the scope is that, like, it's global. Like create element has a global context. So we know at any time, like if I expose like a use local context hook, then we know at any time when we're creating a component. So we know where to tie that context, and we can create the context, and we can also dispose of that. This is fun. I think I'm going to play around with this. I really want to see this concept of just being able to create stateless components and then having a reactive state management. Yeah, just for fun. Like it would never be anything, because it's a really hard sell to kind of take away, because this doesn't have suspense, it doesn't have error boundaries, it doesn't have portals. Yeah, I kind of had this thought that what if there was a UI library built for productivity apps, like traditional single page applications. You don't care about server-side rendering at all in terms of building the app. It's just an app running in the client. You need it to be extremely performant. And you have very complicated client-side state management. Yeah, I don't know. It's just fun. Yeah, and it's interesting, like, because we've been through this story of like React style components, like things, routers, styling, everything's built for the specific frameworks. Instead of now, we're kind of loosening up a bit. Like the specific routing now becomes part of the specific frameworks, like Remix and Next.js, and then you can have these generic routers that's not tied to anything specific. It's just, yeah, and the same for CSS. You have Tailwind. It's just class names. It doesn't matter how you use them or what framework you're using. So I feel like we're getting to this position now where we have these like very high abstracted frameworks that does everything, like Next.js and Remix. And that enables new things to appear where you kind of get away from having these partial full-fledged frameworks. Like you combine React with style components, now you have a lock-in. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm making any sense, but this was fun. Let's play more with this. Just for fun. Okay. Anyways, bye for now. We'll talk later.